Hello and welcome to Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I'm the human, Sophia. I appreciate you being back with me. If you're returning and if you're new, welcome. This is my third video episode, and it looks like this is what I'm going to be doing going forward. It's so interesting. I don't get a lot of downloads, but the videos seem to be a little more popular than just the audio, which I imagine would be true no matter what the subject matter. So here I am again, and if you are listening on an audio-only platform, I do neglect to mention this. I think that the video version is exclusively on YouTube at Postcards from a Soul. So the @ Postcards from a Soul is how you find my channel on YouTube if you're interested in the video version. And on that same channel is a playlist for Breath and Voice Chronicles, which is my collaboration with Igor Siberia, if you're interested in that. So this is a strange day for me. It is not a weekend. Normally I record on Sundays. It is a Monday. I've just gotten done with 3 weeks of spending a concentrated time with my granddaughter because my daughter is working on an event and she left today to go out of state to do that. And so I am without my grandbaby, which feels really strange right now. But so I'm recording on a Monday, and I wasn't sure I was going to record today. I always try to wait to see how I feel. I've been in a very active energy lately, and the last episode I did, I had a little trouble articulating what I was going through, and I think I might also have a little trouble with this topic because it is so very strange. So my last episode was. I entitled it Living Between Timelines because I am in a space and time where I feel two different lifetimes. I feel like I'm traversing two different lifetimes. I have one foot in one lifetime and one in the new lifetime or the new timeline, which is how it's been described to me. And I've talked about this many times, so I won't stay on the subject of what the timeline is too long, but basically what has happened with this lifetime and from what I understand, I've lived many lifetimes, and I'm an ancient soul, and I came into this incarnation to handle some really heavy karma, not just for me but for my bloodline, for my ancestry. And I have a lot of support because of my mission here. I have a soul tribe, that's how I refer to them, who are not incarnate right now, who are assisting me from another realm. And I have my earth family, which are my daughter and granddaughter, who are soulmates. And then I have a future twin flame connection, a gentleman named John from New Zealand, who I have not met yet, but I'm aware of who he is. And our origins together, which were described as one soul. We split in two in order to have two completely separate experiences in this lifetime, to reunite at a specified divinely timed time in our lives, and have an experience together. And that is a whole other series of episodes. But so I've not yet met John, but I'm aware of him in the vicinity. Energetically, he is a very powerful force in my life. He has been for the last more than 3.5 years that I've been aware of him. He is also a very old soul. We are in a very similar energetic frequency. Twin flames, which are not the same as soulmates, share a frequency where soulmates may have a similar frequency. Again, a whole other series there, but I have yet to meet John, but he is in my near future, I believe, as is this timeline shift. And I spoke about this a few different times. And the last episode, I was discussing how I felt in this incredible space between timelines where I am traversing two different lifetimes and two different identities. I've changed my name, and I'm waiting for the last document, which is my new birth certificate, to be completely ready, technically, to become Sophia Maya, who is my new identity, or I refer to her as the new avatar going forward into this new timeline. And what's happened is I lived a life of 58 years in what I refer to as the 3D matrix. And this 3D matrix is where we all do our training as souls. We come into this incarnation. Humans are a naturally occurring living organism on Earth. We come in and occupy a body, and we have a life experience. And these experiences are uh, really designed by us. And this particular lifetime has been challenging. I've had a lot of abuse. I've had a lot of core wounding to heal. And again, not just for myself, but also for my bloodline. And so I've gone through a very trying 58 years. And in my 58th year, I experienced my spiritual awakening. And I describe this again. If you're familiar with my podcast, I've described my ex-husband, who is a karmic soulmate and a treasured connection spiritually, not in the human form, unfortunately. He was the catalyst for my awakening, and I was been in near isolation ever since. So it's going on 4 years now. It's as we speak. I'm recording on March 3rd, 2025. June 25th will be that was the catalytic day for me, the day I ended up in the hospital with an energetic breakdown, and the day my ex-husband finally left my home and allowed me the space to begin to heal. And that's when I was guided very specifically through tarot readings and other synchronicities into my spiritual awakening, where I was guided to material. The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd was the Golden Path, was a very integral part of that, and human design, where I learned of my human energetic imprint for this lifetime, which helped me to understand where I was going wrong in my life. And also there were the tarot readings, which were something I was serendipitously guided to, and I had never done a tarot reading before. And I ended up understanding and learning through that connection that I was being guided by a team of souls who were who agreed to help me in this lifetime. And one of the very first messages I received was, yes, we're talking to you. No, you're not going crazy. You are meant to awaken at this time, and we are meant to work together for you to get where you're going. And that's when I started to really look at the tarot as guidance and not just as entertainment. And again, I had never looked at a tarot reading before that. I had no idea what it was. And since then, I've been receiving my primary guidance through tarot readings. And these are very talented, gifted channelers, these readers, that are chosen by the other realm to translate specific messages for those who are seeking guidance. And for me in particular, the messages have been particularly poignant. From what I understand, I have a lot of pull on the other side. So when I look at a reading, the majority of the information is to guide me. Specifically, I even had one reading recently that the reader started the reading by saying, this reading may only be for one person. And just to put that into context, these are readings on YouTube. They are not something that I go see a tarot reader. They are readings that pop up for anyone to view. And some of these readers have multiple thousands of followers. So I never expected to have a personalized reading through these online free readings, but I have been guided very effectively, let's just put it that way, through these readings. And it is these readings that have validated things that have happened in my life, or they have confirmed things that I was feeling but not sure about. And they have also answered very specific questions that I have had put out. And one of the questions very early on was, if I have this open channel to you spiritually, where you can speak to me so clearly through my intuition and obviously through the tarot, am I also subject to negative energy coming in through to me as well? Do I have to be careful? And I spoke that question out loud in the next morning, the very first message in the reading, that, again, a free reading that thousands of people are viewing, was, "You are protected." So the connection is real. It is uh, powerful. I've been talking about recent readings and how they have guided me to trust and believe that what I feel is real, to trust these new feelings or these new sensations. I call them an extrasensory uh, element in my body, where, ESP is extrasensory perception, where people have an extra sense where they sense, they can read people's minds, or they are psychic, or there's many, many other extra senses that somebody could have a connection with. And for me, this extra sensory perception is energetic. I don't read minds. I'm not psychic that I'm aware of, but I can feel energy, and in ways that I have trouble describing many, many times. And I described this in the last episode, this feeling of being pulled between these two timelines. And the reason why I'm recording again with kind of the same topic is something extraordinary is happening. And I really didn't have the full spectrum of this sensory experience when I recorded 2 weeks ago, and I did that last episode. So I wanted to come back and add to that. I can feel uh, this energy pulling me into this new timeline. I can feel, and I'm going to say at a cellular level, because I don't know how else to describe it. But I was thinking about it yesterday, and it feels like when you're walking a dog on a leash, and the dog wants to go one direction, and you're going another direction, and the dog goes in that direction, and the leash gets pulled, and you get pulled in that direction, and you have to struggle to stay, depending on the size of the dog and the will of the dog, on the path that you want to stay on. And that's what this feels like. I feel like I'm being pulled towards something that is unseen and unknown. Mostly, I have a very overarching understanding of where I'm going. And it has caused, and this is kind of really the most remarkable part, what I would describe as a lightning storm in my heart chakra. And if you're not familiar with chakras, I wasn't at all before all this. There are energy centers or motors in our body that control different parts of our being, our energetic being, our physical being. I'm not an expert on it at all. I know what I need to know just to understand what's happening. And each chakra is a motor or an engine, and it's affected by energy, and it also can create. So this is something I was unaware of until very recently. You can create or co-create your life through, or manifest, maybe is a more popular word, through thought and through your chakras. And like, for example, your root chakra is where your feeling of security comes from, and being grounded in the earth and safe. That's the root chakra. You can actually manifest through your root chakra, which I just recently learned. And you can manifest that security and that feeling of safety and grounded in this earth plane. And the heart is, from what I understand, the most powerful manifester. And from what I understand, and I'm going to keep saying this because I am no expert here. All I'm doing is explaining my experiences, and I'm given the verbiage and the context when I need it by my soul tribe. And this is just such an extraordinary exchange of information and support system that I just really felt it was important to talk about again. I have been feeling this lightning storm in my chest. And if you didn't know any better, you would think you were having heart problems. And for a moment, I had to really think, is this something else? I have to be careful here. I'm still a human being. I'm still a 62-year-old woman. And I don't want to discount the fact that I have a human body that may need attention. So I was sitting with my granddaughter last week. This is probably 4 days ago. And I was just watching TV with her snuggled on my lap, and I just felt this like chaotic energy in my heart. And I'm like, I know better than to question it too much. I just relax as best I can and weather it because it never lasts too long. But this feeling has been ebbing and flowing for the last 4 or 5 days now. And of course, whenever I'm feeling something I'm unsure about, there's always help for me on my YouTube channel. And this sounds so weird, but it's the most interesting, it's the most exciting, extraordinary connection that I could ever experience. Intuitively, I get a lot of information. How do I feel? Do I have energy for this? I know that to do it. If I don't, I know not to do it. There are a lot of other cues. There are a lot of other ways, energetically, emotionally, mentally, that I am guided by my higher self. But this is such a specified channel of information that I'm actually told with words, with complete sentences, what I need to know. So I'm feeling this chaotic energy. I'm not really 100% sure what it is. I'm aware of this timeline shift coming and ebbing and flowing in my life. And as all this is happening, I am kind of avoiding the YouTube channel because I feel very secure, very confident about what I need to do. I've been very well trained and conditioned for what's coming, which is the new timeline, which I still haven't explained, which I'll get to. And so I felt confident. I even said out loud, I feel really good unless there's something you really need me to know. I'm probably not going to look too much at the channel. And I do post on YouTube. So I do open the channel and there are readings. There's always readings. And the titles are very telling. I can tell that the majority of the panel of 6 or 12 that I can see when I open my laptop, that more than half or up to all of them are readings that are for me if I wanted to take the time to look at them. Most of them are referring to myself and my twin flame John and what our dynamic is going to be when we meet and how that's all going to go. And there is a very, very big part of my mission associated with John and him and I activating dormancies in each other. And there's a whole other series there as well. But the beginning of our relationship is going to be beautiful when we meet. There'll be a very magnetic connection, although he very well may be very much younger than I am. I'm not sure yet. I've been warned that that's possible. But once we meet and get to know each other, there's going to be a separation period. And I don't want to talk about that yet because I don't know what it's going to truly entail. I understand what I'm meant to do during that time and what I believe is going to happen. But I'll talk about that in the future. But so many of the readings are relevant, but I just don't look at them because I feel confident. And the last few days when I've gone in there to upload, I've seen a specific reading in the top row about a timeline leap. And I avoided it because I felt, okay, I know I'm leaping timelines. I understand. And again, just so I complete this thought, which I haven't yet, and forgive me, a new timeline for me, at least from what I understand, is me going into a different lifetime than I'm living right now, or that I was living up until 58, up until almost 4 years ago when I started my awakening phase, which was I was 58 years old. And what that means is the lifetime, that trajectory that I was on has now changed. So I'm not going to finish the life that Gina was going to have. I am going to have a brand new life that Sophia is going to live. And in that new life, I will be moved to a brand new location, which I believe is New Zealand. This has been told to me over and over in the original tarot readings, helping me to understand that that part of my I'm going to say mission. It's the only word that connects all this, is to relocate to this island in the middle of nowhere. And in that location is where my frequency that I have cultivated, this higher frequency vibration in my body, will be aligned more with the land and the atmosphere, where it is no longer aligned here. And I've also discussed that. So in this new timeline, and you can refer to it as a new lifetime or a new reality, because I'm switching realities is what's happening. So Gina would have had a lifetime probably adjacent to her girls, probably would not have forayed into the world of romance again because of the very stinging and painful and abusive experiences that I've had. Uh, so I probably would have lived a simple, joyful, but conservative life until I passed away. But Sophia has a whole other lifetime ahead of her. She is going to experience commercial success. She is going to have wealth, and she is also going to be in a true love relationship. And it may or may not be with her twin flame, which is a whole other subject. And I've been very particularly guided on this aspect that when I go into this new timeline or new reality, I've even been given advice, which I talked about what to expect, and that I'm going to feel isolated for a while. I'm going to miss my girls terribly, but I will adjust. And I am to visit local festivals and marketplaces and talk to people. And that's where I will have connections where with people I will have either business collaborations with, romantic relationship potentially, or friendships or other associations. And I've also been guided, and I talked about this in the episode called A Wealthy Man is Coming, about how I'm going to be moved to this new location by a person who is inspired to make an offer to me that will make that all happen, and not to look too closely at the circumstances of that offer, because they are not going to be earthbound. And what that means is this is all divinely orchestrated. So this man is going to be divinely inspired by my work, by who I am, by something maybe I'm unaware of. I was told he's inspired by the goodness that I've done in my life, and that he wants to give me this gift. And I'm not to look too closely at it because it doesn't tie directly to anything logical, and to just enjoy it. And there's no way I can repay him. So don't worry about doing that. But I will have opportunities going forward to help others who were in my position. So I've been very, very, very particularly guided and repetitively guided. And what I mean by that is when I open the YouTube channel, there are multiple readings about the same subject matter from different content creators. And this is what you have to understand. It's not just one person. I don't subscribe to any of these channels. I'm not notified of anybody dropping content. This is just all serendipitous content. I don't follow anyone. And I cleared my palette on all of my social media for exactly that reason. I don't follow anyone that I don't have a specific connection to. And right now, I only follow 2 or 3 people. I even let go of all the locations that I followed because I want my feeds to be open for these serendipitous or these synchronistic messages that come through on a daily basis. So, uh, this guidance has been very particular around me going into this new timeline and how I'm going to leave behind this old life, or Gina's old life. And I talked about this in the last episode. And I talked about how I was synchronistically guided, or serendipitously. The words are interchangeable these days. It's magic. It's all magic. The guidance that we receive, and it's not just me. I just happen to be somebody who's having an accentuated experience because I'm meant to share it. So you understand that all of this magic is all around us all the time. It's not a fantasy. It is become my whole life. And the readings, the social media posts are all part of my guidance, along with my inspiration, which are downloads, and along with the way my body feels physically. And we all have these same tools. It's just whether or not we're utilizing them or we're connected to them. So I've been told that when I move into this new lifetime, that, I'm going to feel isolated for a while, but to just, adjust to it and get to know the culture, which there's a very big indigenous culture in New Zealand, which I'm not really familiar with yet. I feel like there's some sort of ancestral connection for my soul, not necessarily me as a human. I don't really know that part, but I feel like there's something important energetically, soul connection with New Zealand. And of course, there's no mistake that my twin flame, John, has incarnated as a human from New Zealand. That is where he's from. So it's all very extraordinary, but it's all coming to full circle. And when I went into my YouTube channel to post something the other day, I was just started to say I saw the same video reading 3 different times when I went into this is over probably a 6-day period. And when a reading stays there and doesn't change, I know that even though I may have decided not to look at a reading, that I meant to look at it. There's something there for me. And in the title of the reading was the answer to your question is yes, it's time to take the leap. And I said, okay, this has to do with me leaping timelines, which is how this has been described as a quantum shift. And what a quantum shift means to me, this novice, is that there's no logical reason for it to happen. And when I started to watch the video, I immediately understood that it was something that I needed to watch because when you think about moving to a new location, if you're going for a new job or a relationship or whatever, you keep all your old connections. Some of them remain powerful or strong, some don't, but you don't feel like you're leaving for another planet. However, in this case, this is what this is going to feel like. And when I get the call, and that's how that's what I call how I refer to this, because I'm going to get some sort of offer. I know it's time for me to sell my house, sell my truck, everything I own, and leave with just a bag. And I don't know if I'm going to be flying or really if I'm going to New Zealand initially or not. I don't know anything. But I am to sell everything and leave everything that I know, including my girls. And I guess I've never really thought about that realistically because it's always been something in the future. It's always been like this dream come true fantasy outcome that your mind doesn't really believe is possible. And so the mind keeps you grounded, and it also can bury you in the ground if we're not careful. So until recently, when I started to really feel this shifting in my cells, this pulling, like the leash, dog pulling me on a leash towards somewhere I don't know where it is, I can't see it yet, but my soul is already there. And I feel like the molecular body and the mind, and of course enough of the soul, is still here in the old timeline because it has to be physically moved, and that has to be done by plane or boat or some means of transportation. So the time is not right yet, but everything is being prepared. So I described how I was getting my house ready. I purged my house of all non-essentials. A friend of mine who's a contractor has been over here fixing things and getting things ready for me. He's nearly completed with all those tasks. And something extraordinary happened that I didn't uh, connect with entirely when I recorded 2 weeks ago. My next door neighbor were a very young couple. They had a child while they were living there. They lived there for 9 years. They were lovely and they were very kind to me, and we spoke all the time. And even though they moved 9 months ago, he still, the husband still contacts me, just say hello and send me pictures of the baby, which is lovely. Well, a new young couple moved in to the house just 9 months ago. They bought the home from my old neighbors and they moved in 9 months ago. And I didn't really have much of a connection with them. Very young couple. She was in her 20s. I think they're both in their 20s. Very, very fast track, high paying jobs from what I understand. Very busy. He traveled a lot for his work, and I didn't really see them. So they would come and go, and 9 months went by. And then I'm shoveling my driveway a few weeks ago, and the neighbor on the other side of the neighbor I'm speaking of was walking his dog and just stopped to tell me out of nowhere, "Hey, we're getting new neighbors. The young couple are moving out. He got a job offer in another state and they're leaving." And I just said, "Oh, okay. Thank you, for letting me know." And it didn't occur to me, of course, until this energy started to build, that this is how broad this divine orchestration is. The selling of the house next door, now again in 9 months, only after 9 months. And you have to bear with me with this because this is the whispered intuition that we either discount as crazy fantasy or we realize is a message for us to help us understand contextually what's happening. Okay, so when the couple sold the house 9 months ago, the neighbors that were here for 9 years, the house sold for quite a bit more than what they bought it for 9 years ago. And that's not all that extraordinary. However, it when a house next door or in the neighborhood sells, it really raises the value because it becomes a comprehensive or not a comprehensive, a comp, which is a comparable. There we go. A comparable in your neighborhood. So this house sold for this much. So it raises the average of the per square foot value of the houses in the area. So the more houses that sell at a higher rate, the more value the other houses uh, kind of get. So it's almost like a gift from that house when it sells for more than it should. It raises the value of the houses around it. So uh, the house sold for quite a bit more 9 months ago, and now these young couple who have already left. The sign went in the drive a week and a half ago or something like that. There were moving vans there, which I didn't understand were moving vans. They were having work done in the house. I didn't realize they were gone. They didn't say anything to anyone. And now the house is for sale for quite a bit more than it sold for 9 months ago. And I just knew intuitively that this was part of the divine orchestration of getting me to this new location. And the reason why I believe that is because abundance is coming from all different sources. And I've described in the last couple of the blessings that I've been receiving. There's an episode called Raining Blessings and the 5D Way, which was the episode before last, where I talked about these unexpected blessings that keep coming into my life and they keep pouring in. And one that I'll mention is in my bank account. This is so strange. And I had to really overcome an urge to try to give everything back when I've been made to understand that the old rules, and this is, I hope I don't lose track of what I was saying before. The old rules of the 3D matrix no longer apply to me. This is how removed I am now from living in the 3D matrix, or the world that the 58-year-old me lived up until she was 58. That because I demonstrated my integrity throughout my life, meaning I wouldn't take something that wasn't mine. So if I went to the store and bought something and the cashier forgot to ring it, I would bring it back in and pay for it. I mean, that was, to me, integrity is important. It's not something you do just when people aren't looking. So the first time this happened, I called the bank. And what had happened was I made a purchase at a store, and the purchase cleared my account. And every time I went to balance my checkbook, that amount was still in there. And I'm like, well, how is that still in there? It cleared my account. And I knew exactly what purchase it was because it was the exact same amount. I called my bank and said, why hasn't this money been taken out? It has cleared my account. And the young lady basically said, there's nothing we can do about it. Don't worry about it. So I said, okay. And I realized in the moment, blessing. Okay. Don't question it. Okay. Got it. Well, since I've accepted that as a source, this happened multiple times where I open my checking account and there's money in there. I don't know where it came from. And I stopped asking. It's not a lot. I'm not like tons of money, but now I don't know where it came from. I can't tell if it's something that's just dropped in there or if it's a payment that didn't clear that looks like it cleared. And I'm not questioning it anymore. This has happened multiple times. So I understand that money is coming from different places, or I should say, material abundance. So I understand from the feeling that I got when the house went up for sale next door again at a much more inflated price than it sold for 9 months ago, that it is creating a bubble in this neighborhood. It is a house right next door to mine. It is creating a bubble, and bear with me, for the value of my house to be at a rate that it could not have been otherwise. So when I'm ready to sell my house, and that is when I get the call, which is the opportunity from the wealthy man or some other way, I don't know exactly how, that is going to relocate me, I'm going to need to sell my home. And from all of this divine orchestration, where my neighbors moved out 9 months ago at an accelerated rate, their house sold. Now, 9 months later, the house is for sale at another accelerated rate. This bubble is meant to be over this part of my neighborhood until my house sells, at least, I'm sure beyond for the other neighbors if they sell, whoever sells during that time period, to create a value for my house that I normally would not be able to get. So This is another form of abundance. And I know this because I know it in my body. When that house sells next door, which it has multiple showings, I'm sure it will sell very soon. It'll sell at a number that was absolutely unheard of 9 years ago, and when my neighbors bought it initially. So I know that this is a source of abundance for me for when I sell this house. This is how much support I'm receiving as this divine being who's having this incredible lifetime with all of this support. That the sale of this house, which could come in any day now, is meant to accentuate greatly the value of my home when I go to sell it. And this is one of the reasons why I feel like this is coming very soon. And I have to be very careful with the word soon, because linear time has nothing to do with divine time. I could feel like soon is going to be next week, but it could be another year. I don't have really any idea. All I know is that this sensation in my body, this lightning storm that I described in my chest, is extraordinary. It is disruptive. So when I went to the reading, that was there for 3 times when I looked at my YouTube channel, it was there 3 different times, and I opened it. It was all about taking a quantum leap, or having or experiencing what they refer to as a quantum shift, and how when this happens, when this opportunity comes, and the opportunity is described as a business opportunity with a partner or a group of people. And this is how it's always been described in the tarot over the last 3.5 years, in the original tarot readings that I was immersed within for the first 3 years, or year and a half, was that I'm going to be given an offer or multiple offers to be either a part of a group or in a partnership. So here we are again in a current reading with the same message, telling me that I'm going to be given an opportunity to work with a partner or a group of people on something that's deeply connected to my heart. And that when the call comes, I have to be aware that my mind, which is not going to understand my heart's pull towards this offer and this new location, is going to try to trip me up with fear and insecurity and doubt. And this is something I wasn't aware of until I watched the reading. How, if you have to imagine, if you are being given an offer to do something extraordinary, all of your dreams are about to come true. It is the scariest thing that you could possibly think about, leaving everything that you've ever known behind. I have to sell my home, my truck, leave my babies, everything. So the fear is going to set in, and the doubt, and I'm going to say to myself, are you sure all of it, this preparation, everything you've gone through, you're not meant for this. This is somebody else's life, because it is. I'm meant to live someone else's life. Sophia is the someone else. It's mind-bending. It is mind-blowing. But that's what this is. So the reading was basically saying, you are going to go through what's described as a quantum shift, and you're not to look too closely at the circumstances or the logic. Again, same type of message. And it's going to feel like I'm going through a wormhole, is how it was described. So I think I wanted to do this episode, even though I wasn't 100% sure how I would describe this, because I want to document or chronicle this feeling before all this happens. And again, I don't know how quickly this is meant to happen, but this firestorm in my heart was validated in this reading, because this is what's called a heart chakra manifestation. And I, again, am not technically all that familiar with all the chakras and what their functions are, but when you manifest from the heart chakra, it is a very powerful and accelerated manifestation. So what's happening right now is I am having the sensations, the physical sensations of my heart chakra manifesting the entrance of this new timeline into my life. That's what I'm feeling. That was the message basically in this reading, that your heart chakra is manifesting, and it's very powerful, and it's very fast. So this is going to be extremely fast. Everything that happens, it's going to feel very natural, because what I'm going to be doing I'm custom made for, or it is, and it also said it's custom made for me. I don't know if it's an extension of my podcast, if it's something else. I have no idea what the offer is going to be, but that it is heart chakra manifestation is what this is. And I'm at a time in my life or in my mission where all of the preparation, all that I went through throughout my life, all of the learning, all of the evolution, all of the frequency elevation, all of the integration, all of the activations, the downloads, everything I've been sharing, everything I've learned is coming full circle to this moment. And it's described as me standing on an X on the ground, which is where the rocket's going to take off from. And in that moment, I'm going to have to be brave because it's going to feel wrong logically. And I understand this because as soon as I got this message, I started to ramble on about how I really wasn't thinking about the physically doing this and what it would feel like. And honestly, the trust that it's going to take to leave an old life or an old timeline, an old reality, and go into a new one without really a logical path from here to there. It's just going to be an offer that comes out of nowhere to do something that I had no connection to before. And this is a divinely orchestrated event in my life. It is literally picking me up from one location and putting me into another one so I can have a different life. And it's such an extraordinary feeling. I mean, the sensory experience of this is, I mean, I'm shaking as I'm sitting here. It is, and you have to understand, we are energetic beings living in a molecular structure. So this molecular structure has only so much capacity to manage this transformation. So what I mean by that is I'm going to feel it sometimes. And there are times where I'm really amazed that I'm able to get out of bed and function every day because there's so much going on at an energetic level. I have been transformed at a cellular level. And and when I say I mean we all have. We're all going through a world or an earth ascension. This is a very active time in this ethos for the earth, who is a being, and she is now ascending at an accelerated rate. We are all ascending with her, and we can either relax into the ascension and embrace it, or we can fight with it, which means we want to stick to our old mindsets and we want to stick to our habits and our toxicity and all the things that really gave us comfort in our old life. That is all changing. The energy is changing. The frequency of the world is changing. We are being asked to change with it or suffer. And I don't mean suffer, go to jail or die or be cast off the earth. I just mean that we suffer in unnecessary ways by not embracing higher frequency energy in our lives. So I can feel through this extrasensory perception that this energy is entered my body and is doing this work to draw this new future, this new reality to me so I can step into it and be off having this other lifetime. And I've also been made aware over the last nearly 4 years that I will be creating in the world, that I may be responsible for giving wealth to other people who have a mission of their own, that me as a central figure in their mission is meant to give them material abundance so they can achieve their goals. There's so much going on in this new timeline. And I'm this 62-year-old human woman who has been alone for the last 4 years in this introspective state, who has learned or been empowered by my soul, by her stripping off of me, basically the 3D matrix, and pulling me out, debriefing me, and reconditioning me for a different lifetime in a different dimensional reality. That's what this is. I'm going from the 3D, 3-dimensional reality, which is the training ground of our souls. This is the training ground that all of us have incarnated into to grow ourselves, to evolve. We choose what we experience. We choose the karma that we want to heal, and it may not be only ours. And we, in overcoming that and by facing that karma, and the way we do that is by looking inward. We stop looking outward for relief, for comfort, for acceptance, for validation, for love. You cannot love someone else until you love yourself. So stop looking. You have to cultivate that within you first. And this was a hard lesson for me, because all I wanted was for somebody to accept me and make me feel worthy of love. And of course, that was never going to happen. All I could do was mirror what karma I was carrying. And I attracted into my life the people who would help me either heal it or drive me deeper into it. And that really is what happens. That's the choice that we are faced with. So fast forward after all of that 3D matrix, and I'm no longer in it, and I'm still here physically. And that is the between the beginning and the end. That is the between worlds. That is the space between worlds where I've been for the last nearly 4 years. 1 foot in the 3D matrix, one in, I'm going to refer to it as the 5D, which is how it's been described to me. I don't really understand that part. But my reality is going to exist in a higher frequency. So in that higher frequency, all that will be drawn to me are higher frequency opportunities and relationships. So now, because I'm in this energetically higher frequency, my body literally vibrates at a higher rate. This is the physical, scientific element of this. I am now attracting magnetically beings, humans, opportunities, relationships, everything that are in this higher frequency. So I no longer even have the capacity to engage with lower vibrational people. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It just means that because my frequency is so different, there's no alignment. So we miss each other. It just isn't there. And I have been told that if I'm protected from the energy of those who have bad intentions with me, and that I'm going into a time in my life where I'm going to be much more visible. And I have to be aware of that, and that I'm even being protected from that at a higher level. But I've been given the tools to not only my energetic body, which speaks to me very clearly with the way I feel. If I feel uncomfortable with you, I don't question that. We are not a good match, period. It's that simple. And I don't mean that to discount anyone who is not on the same frequency. It's just different now. I'm in a different type of energy. I exist on a different plane. So I don't have that alignment anymore. It's as simple as that. It is just alignment of frequency. So in this new lifetime, I will have access to abundance that I really could only dream of. And I will have the capacity to manage whatever blessings come, because I've freed myself of the 3-dimensional behavior, the 3-dimensional belief systems, the 3-dimensional expectations of how I'm going to be treated, even though I have experienced abuse in my life. And this is the line of demarcation. This is the delineation between the two. This is the old me who had this experience that would have trajected me over there, and this new me who has been rebuilt for this new life, who is being trajected over there. That's the line of demarcation. It is the freeing myself, and I'm not going to take full credit for this. This is my soul and my soul tribe who's done all this work, who's guided me through all this work. And I cannot speak enough. And if you're still listening to me this deep into this episode, and you're interested or inspired by this, I'll put it in the description. The Gene Keys Golden Path by Richard Rudd was integral in me navigating my awakening, in me navigating the karma that I brought into this life, and into me really finding my purpose, which I did during that time where I was reading these books. And I believe one thing more than I do anything else, is that energy is everything. Frequency is everything. If you pick up this book and it doesn't resonate, you just put it down. When you're ready and it resonates and you pick it up, you will start to ingest it in a way other than just with your eyes. It is an activation. And this is something that I experienced. As soon as I picked up the books, I started to feel this, like I was being lifted off of earth and in this information. It enveloped me, and I knew that it was transformative, and that's exactly what it was. So I wanted to document this or chronicle this feeling, this extrasensory perception of this, my heart chakra literally manifesting, and I can feel it happening in my body, this new timeline shift. And it's been described as a quantum shift. As a quantum shift through a wormhole into a new reality is what it's going to feel like. And I wanted to make sure that I documented this before. So when I go through this wormhole or when I have this experience of this relocation and I can look back at it, that I can talk about it with this already being out there, because this is such an extraordinary feeling. Another thing I want to add that really accentuates this feeling of being between worlds is when I'm with my girls, especially my granddaughter, I am grounded. As soon as I see her, my heart comes crashing back down to earth, and I am just completely enveloped with my girls, the energy of my girls, my soulmates. As soon as they leave, within a few hours, I start to feel like a hologram in an old virtual reality, like a ghost in the machine. I look around my environment and nothing resonates. I have like I described this before. My house, my interior of my house is like a capsule that is helps me stay at this frequency, because as soon as I walk out into the public, out into the world, unless I'm in nature, which is a different thing, which is so extraordinary to feel the difference when I go for a walk in the woods, and the feeling of being at home and I can breathe deeply, and that I'm surrounded by beings who are otherworldly, the trees, the plants. My nervous system relaxes, and when I walk out into like a busy area and I go to the store, I feel the opposite happen. My body seizes up. I feel my nervous system activate. It is just a misalignment with the energy. It has nothing to do with anyone or anything. It's just I'm in the wrong place now. I no longer belong here. So when I am not with my girls, I feel like a ghost in this old location. And one more interesting thing that I want to leave you with is I was looking at a post, a serendipitous post, and this is not only an area of interest of mine, it has become part of my heart to be in nature. I feel a connection, especially with trees. And I described this before. You can see the tree in my background. I have a very special connection with trees. And oh, I forgot to put the figurine back. My daughter gave me a tree goddess figurine because this is something that my heart is very connected to. And I speak to the trees. I speak to the grass, plants. I speak to all life. And I was listening to, I checked my social media, which is where I post my episodes and my articles. And again, I don't really follow anyone anymore because I cleared that out. And I received a message from a content creator that I've never seen before about how now there is scientific proof that plants are sentient beings. We are sentient beings. We are in a singular form to have a singular experience. That's why we come into the human incarnation, to have interactions with each other in the earth, and with opportunities or places or circumstances. That's how we grow. We've chosen this, and also to experience love, which is extraordinary in this form. So we are a sentient being, and I've always related to the earth as a sentient being. The earth is a earth mother. She is a being. She just chose this incarnation. She's a planet. Just like the nebula, I believe, are beings. I can see them when I look at pictures from the Hubble telescope or the James Webb telescope, which I love to see. They are beings. They have chosen that form. They are cosmic galactic beings. They're not necessarily human. Human is just a small percentage. So I've always regarded nature as beings, like talk to the trees and the plants and even the grass, the dirt, the rocks. It has a molecular structure. It's a living organism. Just because it doesn't move or doesn't speak to us doesn't mean it's not alive. So I've always been aware of that. And I think because I have like this growing connection to the earth, which is, I believe, is going to become exponentially stronger in this new location because it is a very naturally beautiful part of the world. It is mostly untouched. It is an extraordinarily rural island in the middle of nowhere, New Zealand. My connection to the earth is going to become much more deep. And so the post basically was saying that there's now scientific proof that plants are sentient beings. And the way they have proven that, and I'm not going to get this 100% right, so forgive me, is that they discovered that plants have the same reflectors that we have at the back of our eyes. They don't have eyeballs, they can't see the way we do, but they have the same reflectors, which means they can see color. So plants have the ability to see color and to know your presence. They also have what is not a brain technically, but when you cut a plant in a certain way and you look at it from at a certain magnitude, it represents the neural pathways of the brain. So they have determined that plants are beings, that they have what essentially is a brain and they essentially can see. So this, of course, has given me a lot more context to understand my connection to plant life. And if you talk to your plants, just feel validated in doing that. And I spoke about this in an episode that Igor and I did called The Nature of Living Well, where we talked about nature and plants and how we're all connected, and it's not a mistake that we feel more relaxed out in nature. It is a chemical reaction that happens. There's a chemical that trees release in the forest that helps protect them from invading energies that we ingest when we're in the forest that helps protect our body from cancer and other immune system issues. There's so much that we're learning about the natural world and the benefits of us just connecting intentionally with the earth. And of course, this gives me a lot more motivation to spend even more time outside, which I would love to do. So plants are sentient beings. The trees give off chemical element that protects us too. There's so many benefits to living a natural life, and I'm just so excited about the opportunity to move somewhere where there are more sheep than people, where there are natural landscapes of all types here, and I can engage with the earth in a way I never have been able to before. So I'm very, very excited about that. So I wanted to share this experience with you, this extrasensory perception of this heart chakra manifesting this incredible timeline, quantum shift that I've been told to be very careful of my fear trying to have too big of a voice when it comes time for me to actually go, that it's going to require my bravery when I am actually faced with, okay, it's go time, because there's no logical pathway to this new life way. This is a quantum shift into a new timeline, and I cannot wait to experience it and then to talk about it and to really feel what this is all going to feel like from this extraordinarily sensitive sensory uh, mechanism in my body now, where energy, I can feel energy. I can see a tree energy when I touch a tree and I close my eyes. It has just become like an extraordinary new gift. And this is a dormancy in my DNA that has been awakened by this shift in frequency. And this is how this works. We are originally meant to have 12 strands of DNA. We only have two. And a lot of it, most of it is dormant. It's referred to as junk DNA. This is the DNA that's connected to our ethereal or our cosmic selves. And it is only activated when the human has grown beyond the 3D matrix. So I'll leave you with that. I'm so excited to share this with you. I hope that this was coherent, because sometimes language is very difficult. Honestly, you feel in your body, but it's hard to describe. I hope I did an adequate job. I just want to thank you again for being here with me. I'm extraordinarily grateful for anyone who is sharing this journey. If you have questions or comments, you can reach me on YouTube at Postcards from a Soul. My website is postcardsfromasoul.com. You can reach me through there. I very much appreciate your presence here with me, and I will talk to you soon.